back to another penny stock video, and in this video we're going to be covering one ticker in particular, and that is going to be Fern. And Fern has become one of my favorite setups in OTC from now until the end of the year. I think this can see a really big run from these levels, and we're going to get into why. And first and foremost, it has an excellent story with forward-looking catalysts, momentum, great DD, and an excellent chart setup. So we're going to be covering all of that in this video. So without further ado, let's jump right in. We're going to start with the share structure, as we always do. Now, OTC Markets is currently down. The website's not working for me, so I can't show you the news and the share structure from OTC Markets website itself like I would normally do, unfortunately. But I've managed to kind of scavenge together other things so that we can show you all of the information in this video regardless. So here's our share structure. We can see that the float is around 1.5, 1.6 billion share float, which is not a tiny float, but it's also not a massive float. It's pretty standard for this price range. And what's key here is that there's been hardly any dilution, right? This is actually a dilution chart you're looking at. And we can see from this chart that there's been very few shares diluted over the past 2 years. And that's going to be important when we look at the chart in just a moment, because I'm calling this a massive reversal setup, because this is essentially the same float as it was when it ran to 6 cents a couple years ago. And we actually have better DD on it now than we did then. And we actually, I think, have a better catalyst setup now than we did then. So I see this being a massive reversal play running pretty damn hard into the end of the year for multiple reasons. We're going to jump into that right now. First of all, let's take a look at their Twitter, and let's take a look at the story that's unfolding here. So here's the Fern Hill Corporation Twitter, ticker symbol Fern. You can see they had news on October 20th, which was just this Friday, and I'm going to look at that news in just a moment, but first we have to look at their September 13th tweet. To all Fern shareholders, first and foremost, thank you for hanging in there with us. We want to update you on the fact that we were working diligently towards many of the initiatives we've previously announced. However, at the advice of counsel, we have been told to not make certain announcements until the appropriate time. We can assure you that there is a lot going on behind the scenes at Fernhill, and as our shareholders ourselves, our interests are fully aligned. We will announce the latest events as soon as practicable and appreciate all of you. So, key takeaways from this tweet. We have multiple forward-looking catalysts here. As they say, they're working diligently towards many initiatives, which have been previously announced. And those initiatives are audit, acquisitions, and Main Block 2.0. And for those that don't know, Main Block is their primary product and subsidiary. And what it does is provide algorithmic trading and crypto platforms and things like that to hedge funds, venture capital firms, etc. So it's actually quite... it's a really good product. I mean, these guys also have huge connections to make it really work as well. So we're going to get into that in a bit as well. But yeah, this is like a NASDAQ tier company, honestly, and they're actually trying to get to NASDAQ, and I think I know how they're going to get to NASDAQ, which we're going to talk about later in the video as well, right? But then the other thing we get from this tweet, not only do we have tons of catalysts coming, but we also know that they say that the insiders are shareholders themselves and their interests are fully aligned with us. So that tells you right now that the insiders have a plan in place to get the stock price higher. Very bullish, because if the insiders are telling you that we're invested heavy and we need the stock higher, that's fantastic news for people like us, right? So there's really a great setup forming here right off the bat from the story that they posted on September 13th. And then on October 20th, I can't show you because, like I said, OTC Markets is down. So you'll just have to trust me and go check for yourself when the website's working again. But they came out with this news, right? Fern Hill Corp is pleased to announce a shareholder town hall meeting scheduled for Friday, December 15th, 2023. So, again, I can't show you this news, unfortunately, the whole press release. But what it says in the press release is that they're going to be talking about their uplist. They're going to be talking about the acquisitions they have coming. They're going to be talking about progress of the audit. They're going to be talking about revenues, all of this stuff, right? So basically, December 15th is going to be news bomb drop. Tons of stuff to be revealed on December 15th. And I love this because it gives us a little time to create momentum and speculation. Speculation is the number one driving factor for OTC stocks. And we have a lot to speculate on here because I think this news is going to be bigger than people expect. And there's reasons for that I'm going to show you in the due diligence in just a moment. But before we get into all the due diligence, let me show you the chart and why I'm so bullish on this setup. Because this is a fantastic technical setup, aside from being a good lineup of catalysts and really nice DD. There's actually incredible setup on the chart here as well. So if we zoom out, we can see that we're here. And we can see that on the same share structure from 2 years ago, we did over 6 cents on this stock. Huge run, right? And so now if we zoom in, it looks like, oh, Fern's already run. Oh, but the reality is it has not already run. It's actually just getting started because 004, as you can see, is our very first resistance level here. So as soon as it breaks over 004, it has room to 006 here, which is 50% from 004. Great returns to be made from 004, just working off 2 resistance levels. If we break 006, we're looking at realistically about a penny here, as you can see right here on the chart. A penny is the next resistance after 006. So this is really just the beginning of the move, I think. I think this is just the beginning of the move. So, and I put my money where my mouth is because I love this stock and I've bought a lot of it. So, not just, here's the next thing we need to look at on the chart, right? Is that it's never made a higher high in 2 years. If we zoom out again, you can see it's never made a higher high in 2 years. So each pop has been lower than the last pop. So none of these moves you could call a real reversal, right? So finally, after 2 years, we actually have a legitimate massive reversal set up here. And the reason being is if we even get one tick over 004, then we're looking at the first time in 2 years this stock has made a higher high, which could signify a huge reversal here. And like I said, it's the same float as when it ran to 6 cents. Or over 6 cents. So there's really massive upside here. But that's not all. Here's another part that signifies a massive reversal is coming. If we go to another chart here, this is a weekly chart. So this is on a 3-year time frame weekly. And here is the key, the MACD. And the MACD is about to go positive for the first time in 2 years. And so if this MACD goes positive and the stock makes its first higher high in 2 years, you are really looking at one of the best reversal setups we've seen in a long time with tons of room on the chart to run. So I'm very, very bullish on the technicals here. I think it really has a ton of room to go up. So when you see zoomed in that it looks like, oh, the run's already happened, you have to zoom out and realize how much room there is here for a much bigger run to happen. So that's important to note. Now TradingView's glitching, so apparently no websites work tonight, as you can see. But I think you guys got the gist of it with the chart setup, right? So we're going to move on to the DD now and why I'm so bullish on this and why I think the announcements will be huge. So here's Fern Hill Corp's website, and this is their team. And Chris Kern, he's the chairman of the board of directors as well as the CEO. If we go to Chris Kern's LinkedIn, we can see he's been involved with multiple public companies. He even has a company, Click IPO, which helps people invest into IPOs easily. He's been on the board of multiple finance firms, very much involved with public companies for his whole career, very much knows what he's doing, very professional guy, right? But Chris Kern, even though he's the CEO, to me, he's not the key here. The real key here is if we scroll down and we look at this guy, Peter Boards. And Peter Boards is a member of Fern Hill Board of Directors. And he's also a direct investor in Main Block, which is Fern's main subsidiary. But more importantly, if we look into Peter Boards, here's Peter Boards on Twitter, and he's the CEO of a venture capital firm, Trajectory VC. So let's take a look at Trajectory VC, and then when we see Trajectory VC, you're going to understand why Fern is so different from your typical OTC and why Fern could really go the distance. So here is Trajectory Ventures. This is their website. You can see our mission is to advance disruptive innovation, driving global digital transformation. Very nice website they have here, but if we scroll down, it gives us a little more data. They've done $20 billion in transactions, 20 billion, 35 mergers and acquisitions, 200 plus investments, 100 plus collective members. This is not at all what you would expect to see from an OTC stock. This is so unicorn worthy right here. For a venture capital firm that has done $20 billion in transactions to be directly invested in an OTC stock is really something special. And people need to understand that. It's really something special. This is a true unicorn here, guys. So let's take a look at some of the success Trajectory Ventures has had and what's in their portfolio right now. So here is their investment portfolio. And we're going to see how successful these guys are. Here's main block, front and center. Center stage is main block, which is Fern, right? Main block is Fern. So you can see that main block's a key part of their portfolio currently. But let's look at the work they've done with some of their other companies. Local Mind was a part of their portfolio, still is, and that was acquired by Airbnb, massive acquisition. Kubient is a NASDAQ listed company that they IPO'd. Remember, Fern wants to go to NASDAQ. I wonder how they're going to do that. We're about to get there. Then we have Think Real Time, acquired by Dealer.com, another massive acquisition. Then we have Lead Spend, acquired by Experian, another massive acquisition. So these guys are not novices. They're not bullshitters. This is a huge venture capital firm that is invested in an OTC company that has, and the OTC company has massive news coming, right, including uplists. So how are they going to uplist? Well, this is speculative, but take a look at this. Trajectory Ventures actually has their own SPAC that's already listed. And that ticker symbol is TCOA. And it's right here, Trajectory Alpha Acquisition Corp. Ticker symbol TCOA, listed on the NYSE. And this has not had a merger yet. So this is still an open SPAC for merger. And we know that Fern wants to go to NASDAQ. And we know that Trajectory Ventures has done many IPOs, many SPACs, many mergers, many acquisitions. So how is Fern going to get to NASDAQ? Well, I'm speculating that Fern is going to get to NASDAQ by reverse merging into TCOA. I think it makes sense. I think it totally makes sense because Fern has excellent management that, to me, it seems like they wouldn't be the type to do a massive reverse split to go to NASDAQ. I think they're going to find a way that's more creative to go to NASDAQ, that preserves value more for their shareholders, especially because, like they said in this tweet, that the company insiders are shareholders themselves, right? So they don't want to screw themselves. So they need to find a more creative way to go to NASDAQ. Well, it just so happens that their main investor has a SPAC. So I really do think there's a high possibility of Fern uplisting through a SPAC reverse merger into TCOA. We don't know yet. There's nothing to confirm this. But there's enough due diligence here and enough connections here that we can speculate that that will be the case. So Peter Boards and this connection to Trajectory Ventures is obviously massive. One other thing I want to show you, here's another Trajectory Ventures investment in their portfolio right now, which is Monarch Tractor. And Monarch Tractor just got listed into Forbes' next billion-dollar startup. So the point I'm trying to get across is Trajectory Ventures doesn't invest in crap. They invest in real deal, super legit, huge growth companies, and Fern is in their portfolio. And you almost never see this. When do you see an OTC stock in low dubs that has this behind it? No, you never see this. I mean, even with SFLM and Geji, which has venture capital firm connections, they were like $1 billion, $500 million, etc. This is a $20 billion venture capital firm. This is the biggest venture capital firm I've ever seen get involved in an OTC stock, period. And to me, that makes Fern a complete unicorn. Couple it with the fact that we have a massive reversal setting up on the chart here. I mean, look at that. There's just huge potential here, guys. And then I want to show you another thing that's a bit speculative. And I'm also limited in what I could show you because, once again, another website's not working, in this case LinkedIn. It's not working properly, I should say. But here we have a post from 4 months ago from Mesh, aka Front Finance. If we take a look at Mesh real quick, we can see here, where is it? There we are. Nope, went away. So LinkedIn's not working great here either. Okay, there it is. We have, let me just go back. Funding, right? Funding via Crunchbase, Series A, US $22 million. I apologize for these websites not working tonight. I don't know what's going on. But Front Finance raised $22 million through Series A. Clearly, big money behind this company. And we can see from 4 months ago that Peter Boards himself reached out to them on LinkedIn in a comment here and said, you should go connect with Mainblock, which is Fern. They have the first cloud API infrastructure for trading, Aljos, and modular EMS interface for digital trading assets. And then we can see here, Chris Kern replied to Front Finance. Now, I don't know why it won't load. If I click load previous replies, it won't load. It loads on mobile, but I can't show you on desktop for whatever reason. But go check LinkedIn and see for yourself. Front Finance actually did reply to Peter Boards here and said, yes, we are interested and we're reaching out. So Fern and Front Finance are currently in talks to either be partners or possibly be an acquisition for Fern, right? Because we know that if a company is raising money through a Series A, how are these investors ever going to make a return? Well, they're going to have to go public somehow eventually, right? So the investors can sell their shares on the open market. So this is a candidate here for potential Fern acquisition that we might hear about in December. And this is a massive company that raised $22 million already. The point being is every piece of information we have regarding Fern points to massive investment, points to massive players in the industry, points to NASDAQ, etc. They're barely diluting at all. There's a huge potential for a reversal on the chart. The MACD is about to go positive for the first time in over 2 years, and we have imminent catalysts coming within the next 30 to 45 days. Because yes, we have the shareholder meeting on December 15th, but we might hear other news before that too, right? So we don't know. There could very well be more announcements that come in November leading up to this shareholder meeting in December as well. So tons of announcements. We have acquisitions, we have audit, we have uplisting to NASDAQ, possibly through this SPAC TCOA. And then we have the huge reversal set up on the chart. All of these factors combined make Fern probably my new favorite OTC swing through really the end of the year, because I think November through December, this stock is going to receive a lot of hype. It's going to receive a lot of momentum, and it's going to receive a lot of speculation. And I think they'll actually deliver well on the news that's coming. I think the news is going to be big because the way they're talking, this is not a type of company in the past to make big promises and not deliver. Every time they talk positively like this, they follow up with really good news. So very much looking forward to Fern Hill, guys. Ticker symbol Fern. This is one you really want to be keeping an eye on, really for at least the next month. I think we could see a huge run here. If we do break that 004 resistance, which I'm almost certain we will next week, then the chart's wide open. Wide open. We could even see multi-pennies here. So thank you very much for watching, guys. And I apologize for the fact that LinkedIn and OTC Markets websites are both not working completely well tonight, but I had to make the video anyway and try my best. So thanks again, guys, and keep an eye on Fern, and I'll see you next time.